Hey everyone, this is Alisha Costanzo and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to go into part 2 of my ranking challenge. So I picked 6 books. In the previous video, I listed which ones I thought I was going to like in what order based on the first line. Now I am going to go read them and talk to you about them, and we'll come back and I will rank them all again. Okay, let's talk about Magic Bites. I did not vlog any of this. I read it within like 24 hours, 36 hours of starting it. Luna Andrews, this is for my ranking challenge. And so first, number 1, because it's the first one I've read. I found that I did not like it as much as I liked the Legacy series, but it was still a solid 4. It does seem a lot like the Anita Blake series and Sherilyn Kenyon and Patricia Briggs, which is exactly what I was looking for. So, yeah. I liked how the vampires were different. I liked the wares were different. I want to know what's up with her blood. I also feel like this is a series that's going to get better as it goes. So, good start. Okay, so I read, and I didn't vlog, Halfway to the Grave by Janine Frost. Janine Frost? So I really liked the first part of it. Halfway through it, if I had vlogged this, I would have told you that I thought the romance was going a little fast. Time-wise, it seemed kind of spot on, but the professions of love that happen in this seem to come out of fucking nowhere. And now granted, I gave it to the end of the book, and the whole arc of the story and the romance and whatnot makes sense. It makes sense, it works, all of those things. But in the middle of it, I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you ruining all of this great suspense that you could have? But I get it. I get it for the story. I do. So, you would have seen me griping about it, but it's a good story. I do have big Spike and Buffy vibes from this. Like, I even looked up to see if this was a fan fiction with the British vampire badass and the vampire hunter. I mean, come on, Buffy vibes. What else can I say? I hate her mother. I hate her family. I think she's a little bit too naive for being a vampire hunter and being the product of her mother being raped by a vampire, which is not a spoiler, by the way, at all, because it's the book. It's the whole theme of the book. You learn pretty early that that's what happened. I don't know what to say other than I liked it. I liked the green glowy eyes for the vampires. I liked the different strengths. I liked that it was a little different than other vampire stories, but still within the general canon of vampires and urban fantasy and that kind of thing. Do I like it more than I liked Magic Bites is the question. And that's hard to decide right now. I don't know. Oh, God. Maybe? I'm leaning like 4.5 right now with my rating, and I think I gave Magic Bites a 4. So it might be in the number 1 spot right now, and Magic Bites is number 2. I do think the Kate Daniels series will get better, and I also think this one will get better. But right now, I think this one might be just a little bit better than the other one. So that's what we're gonna go with. Yeah. Okay, I will definitely continue the series, by the way. I do like the kick-ass, action, training, defiant young woman type of thing. She reminds me a lot of my main character, Rhea, in my Broken World series, in my Blood Phoenix section saga of the Broken World series. I have a lot of shit. But yeah, okay. Alright. I liked it. Halfway to the Grave. Okay, we'll go on to the next one. So I just started the one and only Crystal Druid this morning. I'm at 66% already. Took a little bit to get going. However, really great voice. Love the main character. Love the male protagonist. I like the situation that's going on. So, really good choice so far. I want to know who this boy is. Not the male protagonist, but the boy from the flashbacks. I want to know who he is. And, oh, he has her artifact. So, could he be? There are connections that can be made. We'll see what happens. Okay, update over. So I just finished the one and only Crystal Druid, Annette Marie. Oh my god, fucking cliffhanger. Oh my god, but it was so good. Like, I went through this book so fast. I went through it so fast. And lots of great tension, lots of violence. We know that I love violence. We know I love romantic tension. We know when I love the two of those things together. Lots of blood, lots of magic, lots of druid stuff, elf stuff, fae stuff that, like, not stuff I had thought about, which works for me because it kind of brings some ideas for some stories for me. So now a lot of authors talk about how reading something similar to what they're writing often makes them mimic, and there's not anything wrong with mimicry, first of all, but if you can use somebody else's world to inspire you without copying, then why wouldn't you do that? Which is something that I do often, especially when I'm stuck. I'm like, I have no idea, what are other people doing? When I see what other people are doing, I'm like, okay, well, how can I make mine and do something interesting with what's already been done, you know, because everybody's already done like everything. So anyways, I really liked it. I liked the voice. I want book 2, but it's not available in my library, so I've recommended it. We'll see if I get it. I really fucking want it. So okay, good book. I think ranking wise it might be, it's either the 1 or 2 spot. I've read 3 of them now, so it's either the 1 or 2 spot. Magic Bites at the bottom at number 3, and then the One Foot in the Grave and this one, they're quite similar in response to it. But I want to know what the fuck happened. Like, I want to know why he betrayed her. Okay. You'll see me next when I start book 4. Hey guys, so I started Shadow Game by Kristen Feehan, and currently ranked last. It has so many issues. It has so many issues that I just can't even. I started it yesterday. To be fair, I am 81% of the way through it. I am just literally trying to steamroll through this thing because I'm not interested in it at all. I mean, I like the attraction between the 2 main characters. I don't think it's set up well enough. I don't think there's enough there for it to be as intense as it is. There's a lot of fucking sex, which, coming from me, not that I mind sex, I was just completely unprepared for it. Thought this was like a paranormal romance thing. And trying to listen to it at work, and then all of a sudden there's a sex scene. I'm like, well, I can't listen to this out loud, I guess. It just, there's so many issues. Head hopping, for one, drives me fucking bananas. It's lazy. It's fucking lazy to have to flip-flop between your characters because you can't show me what their reaction is. You have to tell me with their internals. Like, bitch, please. The repetition of words and phrases just over and over and over and over and over again. Oh my god. There are some cool things about this story, like in general. I like the powers, I like the situation, I liked the connection to the dude while he was dying. Like, there's things I like in this, but it's just so overwhelmingly bad. And I have to keep going. Now, fair. It is not as bad as Lindsay Sands, because that, I don't even remember the name of that book, but that was a terrible book. This one's got some good qualities to it. The sex is hot. Okay, there's that. There's some cool characterizations, also cool. Like I said, the world's pretty cool. So many pet peeves, and listening to the audiobook doesn't help with some of them. So, yeah, currently ranked last. I'll be back hopefully at the end of the day because I'm rushing through this so that I can read the book that I really want to read. And I'll let you know how I feel about the ending. I'm pretty sure my prediction is that this is going to stay in the last seat, and I am not going to continue reading any of her books. I'd read one of her graphic novels before, and I had very similar issues, so a lot of info dumpiness. A graphic novel is just terrible. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to listening and editing. Yeah. So I read The Warlord Wants Forever. It was only a 4-hour book, so I started it and finished it yesterday. And when I went to go record my reaction, my phone had died. Of course, right? So this is by Chris Cole. It's one of my ranking books, and it's definitely in the top 3. I liked it. There was a few problems that I had with it, but they weren't overwhelmingly like problems. So, one, lots of sex, which I am totally for. I just did not expect it. Okay, like lots of sex, like in my Autumn Lishky wooing the alpha, lots of sex. So we're okay with this. And once I got past the shock of it happening in book 3, in chapter 3. Violence, also love it. Vampires, fucking yes. And gods and demons and creatures, and I kind of like the whole mating, like fated mating thing, I think, maybe. The thing I did not like was the head hopping, and I wasn't so sure if it was like serious head hopping or if like there were scene changes within a chapter. I usually do it by chapter. Some people do it by scene, which is perfectly okay. The reason it didn't bother me so much is because we didn't go really quickly back and forth so that the author could be lazy and not show what the other person was reacting like from the point of view character. So we did see a lot of things, had a lot of reactions internally, and was shown stuff because of sticking in the character's head for long enough. That's, I think, why it didn't bother me so badly. I did notice it. I kind of I'm like, this is short, whatever. The other writing was good. So, because it was short, there was also a bunch of telling to get us in the world and stuff, which I think is necessary. It's actually a prequel instead of the first book, but I don't have access to the first book on my library, so I'm gonna have to request book 1. Anyways, again, definitely in the top 3. I think Crystal Druid's still in my top place. We'll review when I go through them all. But another book done in my ranking one. I think I have one left. I think Fated is my last one. I think this is number 5. We'll see. I'll be back in a second for you, a little while for me, with an update on that. Okay, so I just started Fated by Rebecca Zanetti. This is my last book in my ranking challenge. Thank God. And also, thank God, because I'm reading it with my eyeballs, I'm already really into the story, into the pot already boiling. We have action. I'm on literally page 2 of chapter 2. And I started it right before I came into work. And I'm just down to read this book. So, I also there's no head hopping, but we're going to alternate point of views via chapter, it seems. And I want to know more, so I'm going to go read and get through this thing. Hopefully rather quickly. It'll be my second reading with Abel's book this month, so let's hope it just goes fast. Okay, so I just hit chapter 4, I think, in Fated Zanetti, and how quickly she believed all of the vampire you need to be mated to me, marry me things, and then got married to him so quickly. I'm trying to suspend disbelief. I'm gonna see where this goes, but that a little feel like she submitted too quickly. So there's that. Okay, back to it. So I skim read Fated, Rebecca Zanetti. Y'all, this hurt my brain so fucking much. Omniscient head hopping like a fucking beast, to the point where I didn't know who was who whose mind we were in half the time. And it didn't really matter because I hated both characters. Talon was overprotective, which I like that in a trope. I like that in the dude, the overprotective, dominant dude who's you'll listen to me because it's dangerous. I like that, but he didn't explain fucking shit. So our sassy girl was really just a weak, angsty teenager, essentially. Say no, oh okay, because you kissed me and I felt it good. The fate and their physical was relied on too fucking much for the story. evil guy was too evil, like so purely evil that he had no redeeming qualities. Evil guys think they're the good guys. Like they shouldn't just revel in being evil. Like that's not interesting. It's not interesting. Not knowing, like, we were following a couple other characters in here, which is really weird to like set up some other romances. I would rather not. I would rather not. And if the romance wasn't convincing, which it wasn't, knocked her up. So there you go. Like they've got to be together now. The only interesting character in this whole thing was Janie, which was the daughter, who was 4, who didn't talk like a 4-year-old. And I'm pretty sure is being set up to be a mate to like one of these people. And I'm just like, I don't know who the fuck Zane is, but his comments about her really bothered me. Old, tired plotline. I liked a little bit of, like, I feel like the editor could have pulled so much better stuff out of this if they had just done their job, but they didn't, and they should be fired. This was a dumpster fire. This was an absolute dumpster fire. I gave it a 1. I'll be back with my rankings. Okay, y'all, so to wrap this up, here's what the original list looked like. You can see I had Janine Frost, Halfway to the Grave, at number 1, and then the Warlord Wants Forever was 2, and then the Crystal Druid was 3, Faded was 4, Magic Bites was 5, and Shadow Game was in 6th spot. Honestly, this isn't too terribly far off from where I ended up. So coming in our number 1 spot was the Crystal Druid. I liked it. It was probably the one that made me feel the most. So there we are with that one. Book number 2 was Halfway to the Grave, which was in my number 1 spot originally. So again, not that far off and not that far below the Crystal Druid. There was just like 1 or 2 things that I liked more. And as the series gone on, I've liked the whole dynamic a whole lot more too. So kudos for that. In my number 3 spot was The Warlord Wants Forever. So you can see my top 3 were still in my top 3. So I was pretty good at predicting that. That's kind of awesome. My bottom 3 are still my bottom 3. So in the 4th spot was Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews. Again, I still think that this is going to get better. I just haven't read any more of them. So, yeah. In our 5th spot, the one that I thought was going to be in our last spot when I read it, Shadow Game by Christine Feehan, somehow made it into spot number 5 because the last spot number 6, is Faded by Rebecca Zanetti. And if you have stayed tuned to any of my beginning of the year stuff, you'll know this was the worst book of 2022. The absolute biggest dumpster fire. I didn't DNF it, and I don't know, it probably should have been DNF'd, but it was a challenge, so there's that. And yeah, it was an absolute fucking mess. So the whole I'm gonna fuck that attitude out of her kind of thing from the mail, let's just say no. Let's just say no to that. Okay, well, again, it didn't do too bad. My top 3 were my top 3, my bottom 3 were my bottom 3. I kind of know what I like, I guess. I found some new series to read, which is also fantastic. And yeah, let me know if you guys have read any of these books in the comments below. Let me know if you've ever tried this kind of challenge, if you enjoyed this kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna do it again with something else, some kind of other little gimmick there. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.